There is a moment every night when your entire sense of reality disappears and you do not even notice it happening. You call it sleep, but what actually occurs is far more unsettling. Your identity dissolves, your control vanishes, your perception shuts down, and for hours your brain constructs a private universe detached from the physical world. Then, in the morning, you wake up and accept continuity as if nothing extraordinary occurred. But the truth is this: every night you temporarily stop being the person you think you are, sleep feels passive, it feels like absence. In reality, it is one of the most neurologically active states your brain ever enters. While your body lies still, entire systems reorganize themselves. Memories are reprocessed, emotional experiences are reweighted, neural connections are strengthened or weakened. The version of you that wakes up is not identical to the one who went to bed. It has been edited. To understand this, you need to understand that consciousness is not constant. It is a constructed state maintained by coordinated brain activity across multiple regions. During wakefulness, networks responsible for attention, self-awareness, and external perception operate in synchrony. You experience this synchronization as being you, but as you fall asleep, this coordination gradually fragments. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic and self-control, reduces activity. Sensory input from the outside world weakens. The thalamus, which acts as a gateway for sensory signals, begins limiting what reaches conscious awareness. Your brain disconnects from the external environment to protect internal processing. Reality, as you know it, fades not because the world changes, but because your access to it closes. Then comes the most mysterious phase: rapid eye movement sleep. REM sleep is when dreams become vivid, emotional, and often bizarre. During this phase, parts of your brain associated with emotion and visual imagery become highly active. Yet the logical reasoning centers remain dampened. This imbalance creates a strange condition. You experience intense narratives without critical evaluation. You can fly, relive memories, encounter impossible events, and accept them without question. Dreams feel real because, neurologically, they are processed similarly to real perception. The visual cortex activates, emotional circuits fire. The body remains paralyzed to prevent acting out movements, but internally the experience is immersive. Your brain becomes both storyteller and audience. Why does it do this? One major function of dreaming appears to be emotional regulation. Throughout the day, you accumulate unresolved feelings. During REM sleep, the brain replays fragments of experience in altered forms, allowing emotional intensity to be processed without the stress chemicals present during wakefulness. It is as if your mind runs simulations to diffuse psychological charge. Memory consolidation also occurs during sleep. Experiences from the day are sorted. Some are strengthened and stored long-term. Others are discarded. This selection process shapes your future behavior. What you remember influences how you interpret the world. Sleep is not just rest. It is narrative editing. But here is the deeper layer. Your sense of continuous identity depends on memory integration. If memories were not organized and connected properly, you would wake up disoriented, disconnected from your past. Sleep acts as the bridge that maintains the illusion of a stable self across days. Without it, psychological fragmentation increases. Studies of sleep deprivation reveal how fragile this stability is. When people are deprived of sleep, emotional reactivity increases, logical reasoning declines, perception distorts. In extreme cases, hallucinations occur. Without nightly recalibration, the boundary between internal and external reality weakens. This suggests something profound. The self you trust depends on cycles of unconscious vulnerability. You must surrender awareness to preserve it. There is also the phenomenon of hypnagogia, the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep. In this state, thoughts become fluid, images appear spontaneously, logic loosens. Many creative breakthroughs reportedly emerge during this threshold phase. The brain is shifting networks, and in doing so, it allows unusual connections to form. Even more intriguing is the question of why consciousness shuts down gradually rather than instantly. The descent into sleep mirrors a dimmer switch rather than a light switch. Brainwave patterns slow, awareness flickers. This gradual transition prevents shock to the system. It is a soft detachment from external demands. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep appears risky. An unconscious organism is vulnerable, yet sleep persisted because its cognitive benefits outweighed its dangers. Memory organization, emotional stability, neural repair, and energy regulation required temporary shutdown of external monitoring. There is a paradox here. You fear losing control during the day, yet every night you willingly surrender complete control. You trust that you will return intact, and almost always you do, but the return is not identical. Subtle shifts occur. New associations form, emotional intensities soften or strengthen. Insights sometimes emerge without deliberate thought. The unconscious mind continues working in silence. Consider how problems sometimes feel clearer in the morning. You may struggle with a decision late at night, only to wake up with unexpected clarity. This is not magic. During sleep, competing neural patterns were reorganized. The brain tested configurations outside conscious awareness. By morning, a more stable pattern emerged. The concept of a continuous self becomes fragile when examined through this lens. If your perception, memory, and emotional tone are recalibrated nightly, then the you that exists across time is more dynamic than it feels. Stability is maintained through repetition and integration, not permanence. There is also the phenomenon of lucid dreaming, where awareness partially returns within the dream state. The dreamer recognizes they are dreaming, yet remains inside the constructed world. This hybrid consciousness reveals how flexible awareness truly is. The boundaries between imagination and perception are thinner than assumed. What sleep ultimately reveals is that consciousness is not a fixed possession. It is a process. It requires maintenance. It requires interruption. It requires cycles of dissolution and reconstruction. And perhaps the most humbling truth is this: the mind you rely on during the day is shaped most powerfully during the hours you are not aware of it. Every night you disappear. Every morning you reassemble. And the fact that this feels ordinary may be the greatest illusion of all. Here are 150 words to connect directly at the end. And yet you set an alarm and treat the whole process like a minor inconvenience. That is worth sitting with. The most complex biological event in your daily existence, more intricate than any task you will perform, any problem you will solve, any conversation you will have, happens without your permission, without your instruction, and almost entirely without your awareness. And most people treat it as the thing they do when everything more important is finished. But what if sleep is not the break between living? What if it is where living is actually processed? The experiences you have during the day are raw material, unrefined, emotionally charged and contextually incomplete. Sleep is where that material is sorted, compressed, and woven into the larger story of who you are. Without that nightly weaving, the days accumulate without meaning. Events happen, but they do not integrate. You become full without ever feeling nourished.